Hi, Jeff Ray here, President CEO, South Bend Regional Chamber. Continuing our candidate interviews, we're sitting down with candidate for St. Joseph County Council District E and current council person for St. Joseph County, Diana Hess. Diana, welcome today.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm pleased to be here.
Hey, we're glad to have you. We're trying to sit down with candidates and just help our members get to know folks a little bit better. For folks who haven't had a chance to meet you or get to know you a little bit, tell us a little bit about who Diana Hess is.
Who Diana Hess is. Okay, well, I grew up in Mishawaka, actually, your city. And I've lived in South Bend since 1992. A short stint in Michigan, but for the most part, I've lived in St. Joseph County my entire life. I'm a mom, a grandmother, and a recent great-grandmother, actually not so recent. She'll be 8 months old in a couple weeks. So I and my family all live in St. Joseph County. Well, I would say except the great-granddaughter and that granddaughter live just across the county line in Elkhart, but I'll forgive them for that. I I was employed at IU South Bend for over 20 years, working in continuing education, extended learning services on developing and managing professional development programs such as the paralegal certificate program, purchasing, production, and inventory control back when those things were a little bit more robust in our community. Then I worked for 10 years for a small nonprofit that worked trying to organize and empower neighbors in the city of South Bend.
Great. Well, thank you, Diana. So, Diana, you're cruising along, you're working here in the community. You make the decision to run for office. You've been, as I mentioned, a council person now for a little while. Talk a little bit about what inspired you to seek public office in St. Joe County.
I'm not sure I would call it inspiration. It was not really something I had thought of doing or aspired to do. I had worked behind the scenes for a lot of political campaigns and been involved in politics for a long time, but had never really thought of running for office. And then I was approached by the outgoing council member, Mike Crook, who had won election to the county treasurer seat and was looking for someone, they wanted somebody to caucus in. So I was one of four candidates who went through the caucus, and I ended up winning that caucus and joining the council in 2013.
Great. So Diana, help us for a second for folks who are watching who maybe aren't clear exactly like what a council person does and why that position's important to them. You've been there for a little while now. Talk to a little bit about like the important work that the council does.
Well, the county council is misunderstood. County government is misunderstood because I would tell people, because I've always represented a big portion of people in the city of South Bend, and I would tell them that I'm their county representative, and they would tell me no, that they live in the city and they have a city rep. And I said, well, you have two representatives. And what the county does is we're responsible really for the budget of the county government, which oversees the court system, really, I would say the justice system, right? We have the jail, the sheriff, the JJC, the courts, PSAP, all of those things that help make a community safer and protected. We oversee public health department and certainly highways in the unincorporated parts of the county, and just economic development issues, which is an important part of what we do. So
great. Good. So Diana, maybe for level set a little bit for District E, if folks are unfamiliar where District E is, can you give us a general feel for what part of the county that includes?
Okay, I'm in the really almost all of my district is contained within the city limits of South Bend, along the southern part, stretching from the southeast part down along, going down to Kern Road and then up to Western Avenue, over to Mayflower, down a little south of Sample. So it's kind of a broad, narrow district in the southern part of the city of South Bend.
Great. So Danny, I mentioned you've been on the council now for a little while. So looking back, what, talk to us a little bit about being on the inside there. What, maybe something that you're most proud of, things that the council have done during your tenure there that you look back on and say, boy, I'm glad we did that.
Okay, well, I'm glad. I think we've done a really good job of preparing us for the fiscal cliff, which was, of course, the economic shortfalls that could come about because of the property tax cap. So, and we were bumping up against those, and we did a good job of keeping the budget in line so that when we got to the fiscal cliff, we were prepared and we could move forward with a little bit more robust budgets. So we've been able to now do some increases for salaries for some of our employees who went for years, sacrificing without any pay raises to get us in a good fiscal position. So I feel keeping us in a good fiscal position. I personally worked on a few issues like the human rights ordinance, which there was one in the city of South Bend, but not one that extended into the county proper. I was proud to pass that. We worked on also an ordinance that to help protect local workers, local contractors, local suppliers, try to keep that money in the county.
Great. Good. Thank you, Diana. Appreciate that. So, Diana, let's talk a little bit about, you touched on it briefly, county government as a whole, a lot of needs, limited resources, sometimes. And I know, especially in campaigns, it's common for folks to show up and say, I'm going to do this, that, and the other, without a plan in terms of how to, where those dollars are going to come from. Can you just talk briefly, again, maybe a little bit more about budget, for example, and some of the steps that the county council has taken to sort of address those key priorities, while at the same time living within their financial means or understanding things like the fiscal cliff, that kind of stuff?
Well, it is challenging because it's frustrating when you know that some of your employees are, when I started, were making, $21,000 a year full time. We want to take care of our employees. They do a good job for our county residents. So it's a challenge, but one that we accept, and it's been like you said, the shortage of resources is always a problem. There are never enough resources to do the things that you want to do as a county government. We've been fortunate the last couple of years to have received some federal funding, which has helped us do some of the things, take care of some of the issues that we couldn't before that. The downside is that money goes away. So we have to keep looking for new ways to bring money into the county, which is why economic development is such an important part of what we do.
Great. So, Dana, let's look ahead a little bit. You obviously, I think, have enjoyed your time enough that you've decided to seek re-election here, and we're grateful for your service and for your, seeking continued service there too. Look ahead and talk to us a little bit about some of the things that are priorities for Diana Hess, should she have a chance to serve the council again here in the future.
My priority really is helping to develop a thriving, healthy, safe community, which is, I think, what all residents want. Our county is growing, but it's kind of stalled in some areas. So seeing some growth. I am pleased that were participated in some recent economic development projects. Fingers crossed on the second
Yep.
one, but
Yep.
certainly the honeysuckle project, pleased to see that, and that we were able to work with all the parties to come to an agreement that worked for everyone. And I'm hoping that the Altium battery plant comes to fruition. So again, I just trying to find ways. I support public health, the work that they do to try and deal with health inequities and keep our restaurants safe for people to eat at and our water tables safe. And also public safety is critical for people. People have to feel safe where they live, where they work. And so that's an important issue for me. And I believe that that those are the critical things for a thriving community.
Sure. Great. No, I appreciate that. So looking ahead, Diana, as we think about, kind of the next 4 years, anything on the horizon that should concern us? Any
Oops,
challenges? What'll be one of the bigger
you're
challenges,
frozen
do you
up.
think?
Can you hear
Oops,
me?
I can hear you. Yep, I sure
Okay.
can.
Okay.
All right. Well, yeah. So a little blip. We'll edit. We'll do an edit of it
Okay.
as well too. So no worries. So just looking ahead, Diana, I'm thinking, next 4 years. Anything on the horizon that should worry us? Any challenges that the county council is going to have to come? I think like there rumors of the impending recession or different kind of things. What's on the radar for things that we should be watching for the next couple of years?
Well, certainly, I just heard the inflation report this morning, not good. So yes, there are some economic concerns, and even more reason that we want to be very responsible with our budgeting and make decisions that I believe that are investments in our future, because I believe we have two types of spending. One are expenses that we have to incur to keep the government going, and the other are investments in the future of building a better economic future for people here in St. Joseph County.
Great. Dan, I'm going to ask you to put your sales hat on for a quick second. You obviously made the choice to live here, raise your family here. Your family's stayed here, but you also have this responsibility of helping sell this to folks from outside. If you were talking to somebody from outside of St. Joseph County, what would you tell them about why they should want to live here in St. Joe County?
Well, St. Joseph County offers a lot of opportunities. We have a wonderful park system. I think we are an affordable community to live in. We're seeing some growth, which is good, some positive growth. We have outstanding, educational institutions here from IU South Bend to Notre Dame to Holy Cross, St. Mary's. We're in a very unique location where we're just a few miles really basically away from the city of Chicago, and that's going to be even improved when the South Shore is done with its fast tracking. We're close to Lake Michigan. We're close to a lot of things. I think we're in a very nice spot to be in.
Great. I'll ask you to keep your sales hat on for a quick second there too. So voters have a choice in District E for County Council. Tell them why they should pick Diana Hess to be to continue and to serve District E as the St. Joseph County Council person.
Well, I obviously have years of experience on the council now, and I know what it takes. There is a lot of work involved in being on the county council. So I feel that I do my due diligence. I bring the experience. I believe I'm a practical problem solver. I do not have a personal political agenda coming into this race. I just want to see the county of St. Joe, Indiana, St. Joe County, Indiana, thrive and be a better community.
Great. She's Diana Hess. She's a current St. Joseph County Council person. She's a candidate for election in District E. Diana, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Jeff.